to adjust your production schedule. But, yes?
Question. Did I hear you say that you do daily schedule changes based on the cockpit?
We look at it daily, the transaction S&OP, but we try to stay out of a 7-day frozen time fence. We try to have a frozen zone of at least 7 days on our plants. So thanks for catching me on that one. There's good, but
can you say, I don't know if you skipped over a slide, or what do you do about the annual campaign plan? That was for the low volume but very high variability items, the tail items that you don't need much of, but you've got to have them in stock and it's very unpredictable.
right, so those we'll build once a year. So if it's a low volume item but highly unpredictable, it's just going to mess up our manufacturing planning. It's going to cause a lot of headaches trying to keep fitting it in every couple of months when we run low of it. And we found out in those products are better just making 120% of what we need one time and putting it in inventory. Because if we're holding $400 million of inventory, we're talking about $3 million at the bottom. So we're like, for the $3 million investment, we know why it's there, and it's not a constant mosquito on us that we're trying to smack, when we're trying to do production scheduling. It's not a constant annoyance. We're not running out of it. And some of that stuff is really critical to have for your customers. And that's, when everything's critical, it's getting smart and saying, build it once, we'll put it in inventory, we'll carry it for a year. It's $3 million. It's the other $400 million that I'm worried about moving quickly, right? So when it comes to the market data and looking at, I don't want to say that you shouldn't work with your customers. You should work with your customers. You should know what's going on unless it's actionable. So we have, if it's actionable, then I want a way to bring that data back into the company where we can take action on it. So we do have, even though our rear points and Kanban are set, we have an internal, just a Lotus Notes-based tool that we're migrating to another platform where we say, Mr. Sales Rep, if you're out there with a customer, you identify a product that's got more of a 20% swing up or down, and remember, we refresh our model quarterly, so we're catching the swings quarterly. But if it's a large shift, if it's over 20%, we want to know about it now. So go ahead and fill out a little product form that says, here's what their current demand is, here's what their future demand is, here's the data that's going to change. That work flows through a sales manager, the sales manager approves it, that work flows to supply chain. If it's something that our rear points can cover, we don't worry about it. If it's something that's big enough where that 20% shift, maybe it's one customer, maybe 3 of these come in, and we're seeing something going on in the marketplace, then our demand inventory managers here in North America go right to Europe and say, hey guys, we've got some changing information on this product, and we start changing some of our reorder point assumptions at our export warehouse that feeds us either down or up to change, to adapt to the changing market condition. So we still do a market-based intelligence gathering, but it's not a market-based forecast, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened? Results are why we do this. Inventory reductions up to 40% is what we saw, and it wasn't really up to 40%. When I look at my days on hand, we went live in 2008, 2009. I went from 150, 180 days on hand down to 94 days on hand, and I'm much lower. I need to update these metrics. Right now, we had probably, when I think on a global level, and we've rolled this out globally, so North America was the first location. It's now been rolled out globally. So our company operates this de facto standard for $1 billion company. We have literally brought our inventory down 40%, and our OTIF now is higher than it's ever been. Without any investment in technology, without any investment in additional people, and actually, to be quite honest, we've dumped the jobs down a lot. So instead of someone trying to figure out all this complex MRP and requisitions and forecasting cycles, we're like, look at the screen. If you have a red light, order the product. If it's a green light, don't worry about it. And I have the expertise of my demand and inventory managers who understand it more, who meet with the sales team, who massage the data, who look at the sales trends, who know how the formulas work that can set those reorder points. And now I've got, I don't have to bring as senior people into these planning roles to end up getting bored. I can bring more junior people in these roles as an entry point to our company. And they're learning the industry and going on to other parts of our business. So I'm using these roles now to bring in people out of supply chain programs, first jobs out of college. They learn the market, they learn our customers, they learn our customer, they work with our export desks. and then move off into other divisions where there's more manual stuff going on. So it's been a really good way to bring new talent to the company as well as we've simplified our supply chain planning. So I have 10 minutes left, and I've got way more slides than that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk for about 5 minutes on forecasting. And maybe put up one slide here. So when we talked about strategic forecasting, how on an annual basis we need to do forecasting, right? Because we have to run an S&OP, we have to look at our capacities. We launched a tool out to our entire sales force. And we're using it as a budgeting tool, because the budget still has to be put together. The executive team wants to know how much you're going to sell in North America, how much you're going to sell in China, at a product level. So we put out a tool that's web-based, call it cloud-based, whatever you want to call it now, where our marketing and sales team is going into something that looks like this, where they can they can actually enter a yearly estimate for a product, and then it will take that yearly estimate at a product level, and it will blow it back down to the historical customer mix. So we'll look at what customers bought it, what percent breakouts, what time periods they bought it in, and it'll blow that down through it, and that'll serve as a representation of the future, what we may do in the future. They may put a demand increase in there at 10%, they may zero a product out. So our sales force, and they're doing it right now this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all-day meetings, conference rooms all over the world. They are going in, committing to budgets of what we're going to sell for 2013. So looking at this data, they're going in a web tool, and they're figuring out, this is for every product we sell. So it's nice, the base is there, the data is there, and they're just making some adjustments to it. When we go through the year, we have a monthly process. And if you look at sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit. When you look at our segmentation, we've broken this up into 4 levels for this annual planning, budgeting, forecasting tool. We're looking at strategic planning, products, operational planning, statistical planning, and make to order. When you look at this middle bucket, operational planning, we've got about 8% of our products that fall into this bucket. The other 92% are running on statistics. From a forecast standpoint, from the annual planning, they're running on a make-to-order basis. So we're only asking our sales force to go in and review 8% of our products. So if you take 1,000 products in North America, you say it's 8% of the products, you get 80 products. You take that across 10, 11 sales reps. Each sales rep are giving just a handful of products to manage and say, these are the really important ones. Statistically, we're having a tough time with them. They're dependent on the market. If you're going to spend your time out there, these are the ones we want you to spend your time on. The accuracy of that data increases exponentially as you give them only a little bit to manage. And then we go into, here's a graph of what that looks like. The operational planning at the bottom there representing 8%. When they log on a monthly basis, they actually see alerts when they log on. They can see exactly what product, what customer, where there's a deviation more than 15 to 20%, you can set the threshold. So instead of the past, when we have marketing managers and sales reps and business heads and supply chain sitting down in an S&OP saying, did you know for the last 2 months you haven't sold this customer? Did you know we have new business out here? And they're like, wow, we had no clue. Thanks supply chain for letting us know. These meetings have fundamentally changed. Now they're coming to meeting with their exceptions and alerts saying, hey, guess what? My customer hasn't bought for 2 months. And now our sales force is empowered on these products, where they're more active, they're taking a more active interest in it, because there is that small segment of our business we still need to plan, we still need to forecast. But most of it we're going to use on a reorder point, Kanban, demand pull, set and forget it methodology. So, question? Indigestion? I heard something. Maybe it was indigestion. So to summarize, and I guess in the interest of time I'll summarize it quickly, we still forecast, but we forecast a lot differently. We condition our supply chain. We make sure our manufacturing processes, our warehouses, our plants are able to meet what the expected demand is. On a quarterly basis, we go through with our our supply chain team of understanding what our rear points should be, what our lead times should be. Then we've been working on greenbelt projects to reduce lead times, right? So we attack the levers of what can reduce our inventory instead of always trying to get a more accurate forecast, which for us is kind of hard to do when we have 50, 55% accuracy, and that's what it is in our industry. We did this in North America in about 6 months. Globally, we've had to redecide how we make decisions of capacity, right? So we have something called EVPs, so our financial people look at it and say, but if you're not producing, I need to cover those costs, right? And now I've got these variances in production, what I do with them. So we're thinking and saying, all right, so if you're going to have production variances, we shouldn't make what the market doesn't need. So now we're telling you not to make what the market doesn't need, and you're worried about a production variance. If you're going to have the variance anyways, is there a place in the market we've lost business because we're not cost competitive? If so, use that capacity to make that product that's undercut the market and gain business back if we're going to have that cost anyways. So we're really even thinking differently on the manufacturing side of how we can use these production variances as a competitive weapon to us within the industry, which is really something that we didn't understand quite fully when we set out. And that was probably one of the most unique learnings I had out of this is how to, on the manufacturing side, how we really thought differently to make that happen. So hopefully you got your $2 worth today and a free cookie before you got here. So I really appreciate the time. And it's always an honor to speak to my peers, for sure. And I just hope 5 minutes of this makes sense. My hope is that you leave this room and can say 2 or 3 things about what you may think differently and how you may start some discussions back in your organizations. So thank you much, and I'll open it for questions if there are any more.
Yeah, question. Have you changed the way that you structure contracts or purchasing for the Kanban or rate base versus annual campaign? Your point is more vendor managed inventory for the Kanbans, where you pay later, or anything like that, or is raw materials a kind of a relatively small issue?
No, raw materials is a big standpoint. I think one of the things we've tried to do is shift raw material purchasing to where sometimes we have a captively made raw material, we're actually trying to shift some of that outside of our company to be more flexible. We're also looking at consignment contracts with our suppliers saying we want inventory accessible. We'd like that inventory quicker than having to go through a long lead time and place the purchase order. So when we look at trying to cut these lead times down, which then bring our inventory pile down, pile is a technical term. We're really trying to get our suppliers to help us with consignment and vendor management inventory on our site. And then it comes to discussion, we can do that, but what's the cost, right? And networking capital, is it payment terms, extensions, et cetera. So it really becomes a cost trade-off. You need the metrics so you can sit in the model and say, is it worth paying a little more for this stock availability? Because my customer is not going to say, well, we shipped it to you when you ordered it. My supplier, rather, we shipped it to you when you ordered it, but we gave you a 60-day payment term. Now you want it sitting on your site at all times, and you want a 60-day payment term? That's costing you money to position inventory there. So here's your price increase. And we have to be intelligent enough to look at that in a statistical financial calculation and say, is that price increase worth dropping our inventory? What's our internal cost of money, our carrying costs, et cetera? So before we make decisions like that, we're proving them out financially before we do decisions like that.
Has your financial reports changed in any way because of you doing the changes?
No.
Not really.
No. It hasn't impacted any generally accepted accounting rules or something like that. So our financial reports still look the same. Okay. Except there's less inventory.
Right.
Well, thank you. I'm around at least until tomorrow morning, so if you see me, stop me and kick me if you didn't like it. How about that?